Okay, so earlier today I posted an animation on Twitter and I wanted to make a quick video explaining what it is that's happening in that animation. It's an animation that's showing the results of an analysis that I did earlier today about the profitability of daily DCAing and hodling all the Bitcoin that you DCA. Um, Basically analyzing, different intervals or periods, I call them here, that you may have been DCAing and analyzing whether, those different periods would have been in profit or at a loss after DCAing for some set amount of time. Okay. So in this frame I'm showing now, the period that I'm analyzing is a 1 year period. So if you had been daily DCAing for one whole year, starting at any point, you know, at any point here, right? Um, would you be in profit or at a loss? So at the very start, right? If we had started DCAing, at this very first point here, which is on July 18th, 2010, okay, and the price of Bitcoin was like around 8 cents. So this is like a very, very early on period of time. And there probably weren't too many people DCAing or anyone at all, to be honest. But I start the analysis here because, it's just kind of fun looking at the extremes. But let's say that you were one of these people very early on who was daily DCAing Bitcoin, right? And you DCA'd for one whole year, starting at the beginning here and DCAing for one whole year, okay? All the way up through that first blow off top. So after a year, you would be here, right? This would be the time after one whole year, starting at the beginning. And your average cost at that point would be where this orange line is. So you'd be greatly in profit, right? The amount of profit that you'd be in is kind of like the distance between the white line and the orange line. Okay. So that would be for, anyone who started daily DCing at the very start here. Um, I have some other indicators here to kind of guide your eye and show you some of the other 1 year intervals. So like another one would be if you had started DCAing at the all-time high for one whole year, so going all the way down, buying every single day, a set amount in dollar terms. And then after 1 year, you'd be where this indicator is, and you'd be in profit, right? So this orange line again is below the white line, meaning you're in profit. And it's below, just a little bit, not nearly as much as, this initial example, but it's still in profit nonetheless, right? So it gives you a little green indicator showing that it's in profit if you had daily DCA'd from the top here. Similarly, if you had started here, you'd be in profit, by quite a bit. If you had started at this all-time high, then in this case, you'd actually be at a loss. So here, the average cost after a year of daily DCAing from the top, right, buying every single day, same amount, um, your average cost would be higher than the price at that point. So you'd be at a loss. And that's why the indicator here is red. And that's why, that particular line, which is, going down, right, is red, right? And this whole block here is red, meaning, anyone who had started daily DCAing for 1 year from probably like around here to, I don't know, here, right, would now be at a loss going over 1 year, right? And then, and so on and so forth. So you can kind of start to look at it now. Like now you get it, right? This indicator pertains to this all-time high. So if you had daily DCA, bought it every single day, all the way over, all the way down, then your average cost would be higher after 1 year than the actual cost of Bitcoin at that point. So you'd be at a loss. Here, if you had started here, daily DCA, your average cost would be lower. So you'd be in profit. And then the last two examples are the more recent all-time highs, which are probably more relevant, to many people watching this video who may have started, stacking sats later on. Maybe you started at this first all-time high, or maybe you started at this more recent all-time high, right? And these indicators would be, the ones pertaining to people who had started daily DCAing at those points, right? If you had daily DCA'd for one whole year from that point, you would be here, slightly at a loss. And if you had daily DCA'd from this all-time high, you'd be here, a little bit more at a loss, right? At this point in time. So this is like a snapshot in time, right? You're looking a year after the all-time high, and you're saying, would you be at a loss after that year, or would you be in profit? Um, maybe something that's a little bit more relevant to people wondering, well, would you be at a loss or in profit if you had started daily DCing exactly 1 year ago? Well, that's what these indicators at the end here are showing, right? So it's showing whether you'd be in profit or at a loss. And in this case, if you had started daily DCing exactly 1 year ago, you'd be in profit. The orange line is below the white line at the end here. And that's actually what all this information down here is kind of representing. It's saying the latest period that's been analyzed is from June 12th, 2022 to June 12th, 2023. So 1 year ago, right? One whole year. The average cost, if you had been daily DCAing during that period, would be 21,491. And now, because the price is 25,898, your your stack, your daily DCA for that whole year would be in profit, just over 20%. So I hope that helps kind of explain what's being shown here. Obviously it is an animation, so the information that you're looking at in that animation is dynamic. And the way that it changes is it's looking at a larger and larger period of time being analyzed. And because it's a larger period of time being analyzed, you are you're obviously going to be analyzing fewer periods, right? So, for example, if I switch over here to a 2 year period, I'm now analyzing fewer periods because now we're analyzing the first period would be from, again, starting from here, going all the way up, all the way over, and then ending here. That would be the first 2 year period. So, this amount of time. And then each period is then like kind of, looking at this amount, this amount, this amount, and then one by one by one by one, it's going over and looking at, a 2 year period of time. If you had daily DCA'd for that period, would you be in profit or loss? Okay. So that's how the data kind of changes as it's animating. And interestingly enough, if you had been daily DCAing for the past 2 years, so from June 12th, 2021, all the way up until I guess yesterday, right? I did the analysis yesterday, so it ends yesterday, but June 12th, 2023, your average cost would actually be higher than the current price. So you would actually be slightly at a loss right now, shown here, right? By these red indicators, red. So, anyways, I hope that clarifies it. If that's still not very clear, you can always send me a message, ask any questions you have. I'll try to give further clarification. Um, Here's the actual animation, so you can see as it's going forward in time with larger and larger periods, fewer and fewer of those periods are at a loss. More and more of them become in profit. This makes sense, right? The longer you DCA, the lower your average cost gets, and the more likely you are to be in profit. And at a certain point, everyone who's DCA'd for longer than like 3.5 years, right? So if we go back to this 3.5 year point here, right? You can see pretty much at this point, 3.5 years, and actually a little bit earlier even, everyone who is daily DCA'd for this amount of time, no matter where you started. So even if you started at the very top of any of these, right, um, you would still be in profit after daily DCAing for 3.5 years. And then the longer you DCA, basically just the more likely you are to be in even more profit, right? And at the extreme case, people who have DCA'd for like a whole 10 years, you know, are in like extreme profit, right? And that would have been daily DCAing for a very, very long time. The most recent period analyzed here would have been from June 12th, 2013, all the way to, yesterday. So a 10-year period. That's what this line here is showing, right? June 12th, 2013, going from here all the way over to today's date. Average cost would have been where this orange line is here, just under $800. And the return for that crazy person who's been daily DCing for 10 whole years would be just over 3,000% for their entire investment. Anyways, yep, that's it. Hope that helps. Yeah, I'll link the original post on Twitter in the description if you're interested to see that original post.